I bet on myself every time. And you have to think when you make these decisions, other people are betting on you too. So to me, I'm like, if someone else is going to believe in me this much or see that I'm a valuable member of their team, then why can't I think that about myself?
All right, so we are filming during the Olympics. So the first question I wanted to throw at you, Kim, is what is your favorite Olympic sport?
You know what? I've been a big fan of seeing the memes of the shooter, Turkey.
Yes.
So
I'm a big
good.
fan of that. I didn't even watch the Olympics, but honestly, that was just that's gonna be a meme forever.
So you like the Olympics for the memes.
Yeah, definitely.
You're only here for the comments.
Definitely.
It's actually been pretty good. I want to say I've been watching the ten. I don't know. I've been watching everything. I've been watching the tennis doubles, gymnastics, freehand, parallel bars, and volleyball. Just seeing like what's on because it's every 4 years. So I've been really getting into it lately.
You know what I always think is amazing is the ping pong or the table tennis. The how fast that ball goes and the reaction time that they have always is just amazing.
Yeah, that's ping pong. But back to what Kim said, like the shooter. Like I didn't even know this was a sport. He single handedly just took that sport in the Olympics mainstream.
Oh,
Single
he just
handedly,
rolled out of bed and
yeah.
came in second place. It's amazing. He said he was born to shoot. That's what he said.
He had like a T-shirt on.
That's actually what my last name means shooter in Tagalog.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
shooter,
So we're
hunter.
gonna see you at the 2028
Yeah,
Olympics.
definitely. Or hunter, so maybe that's why I'm a financial advisor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Kim. Let's get started. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in this week's episode of The Blueprint, an FPA Next Gen podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun Peterson, joined by my co host, Mike Zarelli. And today we are joined by, I would say, one of my best friends in the industry and who's always
Oh,
been welcoming whenever I go down to South Florida. She's vice president at Los Olas Capital Advisors and our operational director for FPA Next Gen Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone listening, we'd like to welcome Kim Memorial.
thank you.
You like that? Yeah, I worked all day on that.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me. I'm honestly honored to be here. I think what you guys are doing is really great for the profession in general, the industry as a whole, and I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but I feel like all of us are at the forefront of something. And you're always welcome, Mike and Deshaun, to come down for some Southern hospitality and get after it in South South Florida.
That's it's awesome to have you here. Thank you for joining. The first question I wanted to open up with is being a big part of FPA. Like, what is your biggest goal out of doing all this work? Like, what is your end game?
Honestly, I was actually just on a call today with some a girl that I got connected with through someone in it's a long story. Someone from FPA Miami that I met up with, and he met a girl who wanted to get into the industry, and she's moving, or she's already moved. Actually, she just updated me to the Northeast to start off her career in financial advising or financial planning, and that to me, I just want to see a different face for financial advisors, or just kind of a different definition when I think I'm sure you all probably still experience it or see it when you're out there, or any advisor that you're working up against is just seeing the work that's being done or the things that are being done to clients. It's really unfortunate. And to me, I want to change just the way that people view financial advisors. Like, yes, sales is absolutely a component of this role, are people who are good at sales more successful in this role? Yes. But that doesn't mean, I mean, we all need to sleep at night. That doesn't mean we have to do something at the expense of someone else or someone else's future. And we can really guide that through planning, through just trying to do the right thing, being ethical, all of those things. That's just what I want to see in the industry. And it probably sounds like a really low bar, but everyone has to start somewhere. I know that the FPA, one of their goals is really to see the profession the way that we see other professionals, like lawyers, accountants, doctors. Absolutely, I believe that financial advisors, financial planners can be at that level. Are we there yet? I wouldn't think so. I think that's something that we're, like I said in the beginning, we're all at the forefront of, and that's why I'm really excited. That's what excites me, is seeing new people come into the industry. I know that it's not an easy industry to get into, and it's not an easy industry to stay in. So really just supporting that longevity in the career. The girl I was talking to, or woman that I was talking to earlier, she was starting to have some doubts on, is this really for me? Is this really what I want to do? I mean, if I think about all the times I've ever thought that in my career as a financial advisor, I wouldn't be an advisor sitting here today. I mean, I'm sure there are days you wake up and you're probably thinking the same thing, but I love helping clients, and that's my end game, is doing the right thing for others. And that includes doing the right thing for others in this profession as well, and instilling that in this profession.
I love that. That is a just great opener, Kim. Like doing the work for your clients and people who want to get in the space. I think that's just one of the reasons we want to start this uh, podcast, show, production, really just connecting the generations, but just, taking a bullhorn and saying, hey, if you're in the trenches, whether you're a career changer, entry level, intern, extern, or just in growth mode where you're still trying to get, those first few clients, you're not alone. You can still do good things. And what you said really resonated when you said, are we compare our financial advisors, planners, however you want to announce it, at the same level of lawyers? And that is something I've never even thought to draw a conclusion or comparison of saying we should, or the advisor should be in that same tier, and we're not there yet. And I was like, wow, that's very powerful to just make an awareness of the industry and just the profession.
I appreciate that. Well, Deshaun met the intern that I have for the summer, so shout out to London. He's been so helpful, and I really take it personally, just what we're doing on a day-to-day basis during his internship, because this is the future of the profession. So anyone I engage with who either wants to be mentored or who wants to just see what it's like being a financial advisor for a summer, that showing them what are the true qualities that I would want to see in another financial advisor. I think you guys are probably familiar with Carl Richards, and one of the things he says is to start off, to be a good financial advisor, just being a good person. So it's really striving for that and then instilling that in others.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And the word that just kept coming to me when you were talking is just the integrity of the profession. And I think true financial advisors, they hold that very high. But as you mentioned earlier, there's that side, that sliver that gets lumped into real financial advisors that gives us a bad rap. And one thing that just drives me nuts is how not financial advisors, or people without that professional experience, can say whatever they want or post whatever videos they want on social media. And as long as they say not financial advice, anything is fair game. And they trick a lot of people into the wrong things, or maybe the things that uh, may make sense for a small portion, but they're saying it's all in or nothing. But I think that's part of what we're doing here, is spreading that word of like, hey, this is a true bona fide profession.
Oh yeah, we're making real life changes. We don't perform brain surgery, so I wouldn't put us at that level, but we're definitely doing hard work. And like you said, really it's just doing the right thing for others. because you really have to think about what is that impact of the decisions, that the advice that we're giving, anything that we're potentially selling to someone else. There's a real impact to that. And I think I'm really fortunate to be meeting with other advisors and planners who have the same mindset. So it really gives me a lot of hope to see that there is change that's coming. Um, when I think about a lot of the old advisor mentality, and maybe we've all worked with one, it's definitely a shift in the industry, and it's palpable.
And to pivot from there, outside of just where you are now with FPA and your current role as vice president, could you just share a synopsis of how you got into the industry? How did you get? What was your story, Kim, to get to where you are now? I think that would shed a lot of light on those
Sure.
people who you're looking to mentor or intern under you.
Okay. So I actually, it's a long story, so I don't know how much time we have here, but my mom's a nurse. So, of course, the classic path. And I think this is true for a lot of people, is you only know the career fields that either your mom or dad has done, or someone in your family or your neighbor. So my mom's a nurse. So I initially thought I was going to go into nursing. Then I learned about what nurses do on a day-to-day basis. And I just didn't think that was for me, but trust me, she's one of the hardest working people I know. And um, maybe I just didn't think I could work that hard. So I started thinking about other professions, and um, I went into, I think, pre-pharmacy was the next thing I did. And then quickly realized that I wasn't going to make it past Chem 2. so I had to scrap that, and I wanted to graduate in my 4 years, and I really did a lot of soul searching, and I had a speech impediment growing up. So speech pathologist is the next option, and the school I was going to actually had one of the best programs for speech pathology. So I went into doing that, and in my final year, I was involved in an organization where we did a networking event, and it was all the alumni came and they did a little speech. It was almost like a little career day for alumni to talk about what they do. And I ended up meeting an advisor, Darby Simmons, based out of Towson. And he talked about this profession like it was the best thing ever. He was like, I love what I do. I love this job. So, of course, I wanted to talk to him and just understand what he was doing. And he explained really just like from a high level what financial advising was. And I said, I want to do that. Like, that's absolutely what I want to do. And I was like, what do I do now? Like, do I have to change my major? What happens? And he goes, just graduate. He was like, trust me, just graduate. Finance will take anyone who's hungry. And then he started mentoring me. And I ended up moving to Texas for a job where I was, I really thought I was going to be a speech pathologist. So I had a job where I was working with kids with autism and dyslexia, kids and adults with autism and dyslexia. And I had realized that this wasn't really what I wanted to do long term. So I was applying to roles, and then I ended up in a role in the Woodlands, Texas. But he walked me through the entire interview process. He was like, it doesn't matter what you have to do, whether that's showing up to different RAAs with your resume to get a job. But he was like, look, they'll respect that in this industry. And I think that's what a lot of us have in common, is we all have that hustle and that drive. And again, fortunate to be surrounded with other people with that same mentality, but along with just doing the right thing for others. So that's how I got my start, is Darby Simmons at the Towson University networking event. And that's why I'm a financial advisor today.
I love that quote. Finance will take anybody who's hungry. That is just awesome.
Well, I was like starting to think I was going to have to be in school for another year or two, and I wasn't going to do that. I just wanted to work.
Absolutely. So you got your foot in the door and you're climbing your way up. what were some tools or some people or conversations that helped you climb this ladder?
I would say I didn't have a very clear, direct trajectory. A lot of the things that I ended up doing after I got my foot in the door, per se, was not what you would think of the typical progression of. Now there's such a clear progression in the industry, which is why I'm saying you can see a lot of progress that's been done even now. Is that you have your CSA, then you go into a paraplanner, and then you can go into a relationship manager type role, and then work your way to be an advisor. I feel like that's typically the progression that we see at a lot of firms. At the time I'd started, my foot in the door actually was I started off as a receptionist at an RIA, and then I moved into a more marketing role because, as at the time the CEO said that I was a overqualified receptionist. So I I did some marketing, and then I wanted to move back to Maryland, which is where my family is. So I ended up working at T. Rowe Price for a bit, where I did some contract work that ended up leading into me being on the sales desk for mutual fund wholesaling, where I realized that that's definitely not what I wanted to do. No disrespect to wholesalers; they're some of my best friends, but I like to see really the end result. That's rewarding to me. I need to actually, in my day to day, be able to see, okay, I had an impact. The work that I did has an actual impact. I'm seeing the impact. If I don't have that in my day to day, then it's just not a satisfying career for me. So I always say I was actually at the conference with Deshaun, and I met up with some colleagues from T Rowe. And one of the things that actually made me really say, you know what, I'm going to continue on as my goal of being a financial advisor was they kept putting up all these slide presentations about, generational wealth transfer, more women need to be in finance. And all that told me was I need to go be a financial advisor. So I ended up joining an REA in Maryland. And then that's where I really, I guess, took the role as financial advisor. And that's what I've been doing since then. And now I'm in Florida. So it's definitely not been a straight path. It's a lot of exploring, a lot of learning, but I'm so grateful for everything. I wouldn't change anything.
Thank you for sharing that, Kim. So I remember Edge was a good time in general.
So fun.
It was so much fun. So I guess here I think you did this really well. You work with you brought your intern to Edge, right? Day two. And I think that
Day
that
one.
is day one. I think that was I won't say crazy idea, but an obvious idea. Like you want to know what it's like to be in the industry. It's not excels. There is work, but there's also like offline work. Why did you feel that was the best way to bring your or the best place to expose your intern to? Like why do that as opposed to like your traditional interns or is it just shelved in a corner and doing data entry?
Absolutely. I think there there's a lot of, and I don't know if you all have experienced this, and I was actually talking to someone about it today, was just there's a lot of earning your stripes in this industry. And I wouldn't say that that's right or wrong. I think it has its place in some ways. But to me, I knew I only have a few months with this intern. And I, to be honest, I don't have the time to teach him everything. About, I was like, this is going to be way too much time. If I send him a bunch of videos, that's going to completely turn him off from wanting to do this as a profession. So I said, what better way to learn than just to be in it? I think a lot of this role is a lot of interacting with people. So instead of putting him in a bunch of front of a bunch of clients, I put him in front of a bunch of other professionals. So he got to experience the learning. He got to be around other professionals. He got to network. And really, to me, I just wanted to just throw him in there so that I could just figure out in a very fast way what his strengths were, what was going to make him uncomfortable, push him out of his comfort zone. I didn't want him to have to wait another 5 years to experience a conference, because I feel like I didn't go to my first conference for, I don't know. When did you guys go to your first conference?
Probably my second or third year, but my
Yeah,
company had pushed it like you should do this.
Second
right.
year.
Yeah. And so to me, I just wanted to get him excited, really set the tone for the internship. And I think it worked out really well. If I showed you guys everything that he's done, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And when you start putting people in boxes, or start feeling like, oh, they need to do this step to get to this next step, just because we're putting these arbitrary things around it because, oh, someone did that to me, 10 years ago or whatever, 20 years ago. I just wanted to just completely have an open way of growing and learning.
Yeah, what I love about what you mentioned is this trial by fire aspect. And Deshaun and I have talked about it before, but that's how we both learn. Just put us in the
Yeah.
kitchen, we'll pick it up, we'll learn how to flip a patty or whatever. But what's cool and neat from your story is you're coming from the teacher perspective of, because I put them out there and exposed them to all these different aspects of the industry, now I know what they're good at, what they're not good at, what we can improve on. Like, that is a next level way of teaching. Now, was that by design, or it just kind of rolled out that way?
It all just panned out really well. And I don't know how much you all believe in timing, but it was just all good timing.
I think it was timing, but also I think it's where are we taking this conversation? I think we're getting into it because now I'm thinking about our interns and co-ops that we've had, I've worked with, and even just associates on my desk, as far as this mind frame shift or mind frame gap between us and, I would say, the established. Whereas when you said it, Kim, this checklist of earning, this is how you earn your stripes. Like, it has to be done with this way because someone did it to me. And I like your approach because I want to say I caught myself also in the same way. Like, they don't, junior people or associates or interns, co-ops, etc. They don't know what we don't teach them, and we can't reprimand them if we tell them to do it and they don't know how to do it because we didn't teach them. And I think that is
So true.
definitely something that definitely resonates with me, and I'm glad that you also were executing or exercising that when we were in Florida at Edge, because it just really reinforced, like, hey, let's show them how to do the work first, and then get them interested, as opposed to just saying, do this work. Why am I doing this work? No color, no context to it. So I think that's something that I think is true. And I don't have any question, but I just really wanted to just follow on to that because I really I share that with you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Such a good time, Mike. We missed you.
Yeah, apparently. It sounded like it was a blast. I think another couple other colleagues went there too, and they said the same thing, that Edge was fantastic.
It's such a good way to just get other ideas out there, meet other advisors. I think there's this preconceived notion, I don't know if you guys feel this way too, but no one here knows what they're actually really doing. Everyone's still figuring it out. It doesn't matter what level of the game you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's still figuring it out. And to me, that's why I really respect this community and want to really contribute to this community, because if we can all accept that together and just try to be better, and again, what we're all trying to strive for is just doing the right thing for clients. So I'm not here to compete with you. I'm here to learn from you, because there isn't really a recipe to this at this point in the game. I think a lot of people might be doing it really well, but there's this shift that's happening, and I think we're still in a place where you can create this however you want to create it.
Absolutely. At your firm, do you have the latitude to kind of recreate the financial planning process, or because we're all still figuring it out. I agree. At my firm, I'm still figuring out how we can improve and do better for our clients. So I was curious if you had a similar situation.
Yeah, actually, I came on board to join this firm because the firm it's not a typical RIA. The firm is focused a lot on private funds. They do a lot of investing in local real estate, other ventures, venture capital, some private equity and things like that. But that's really been where the firm focused, and that's where Paul Tanner, the owner, that's where he really thrives in that type of environment. So I really appreciated that they brought me on and they said, you know what, we haven't been paying as much attention to this as we should have. We want to bring someone on to pay attention to that. And right now I'm building it the way that I think would be best for our clients and working in partnership with Paul, Ray, and Jody, who's the leadership here. And it's awesome because it's just, you just get to try things out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. To me, I feel like it's just an amazing thing to experience as an advisor. To not have someone tell you how to do something. It just puts you start putting all these boxes around things. I don't work well in boxes.
I guess a couple of things you said, Kim, that I think are powerful. I do want to just say, one, what would you tell people who want to get in industry, co-ops, interns, etc., about taking a chance on themselves when they're internalized? We have that imposter syndrome. Is this worth it? Things like that. Because you said two things. One, you said you're initially starting off in the healthcare space, right? But you were in Texas, and then you went back to Maryland to give yourself like a hard reset, and then you did it again when you went to South Florida. So you bet on yourself, I would say 2 to 3 times, depending on how you count. What would you tell that younger, someone who is a career changer, right? Someone who might be a little older, what would you tell them about taking that chance on themselves, but also being open to the move?
I bet on myself every time. And you have to think when you make these decisions, other people are betting on you too. So to me, I'm like, if someone else is going to believe in me this much or see that I'm a valuable member of their team, then why can't I think that about myself? So to me, I always look at things as like, what's the worst that can ever happen? And I had a friend that I met when I was at T. Rowe, and it's so funny. She went to Harvard Business School, and I love when I talk to people who have done, really like formalized education. And at the end of the day, they come up with something really simple. And she goes, you know how I always make decisions? I just make decisions by what's the worst that can happen. And if I can be okay with that and be okay with myself, then I do it. And so I always think to myself, okay, what's the worst that can ever happen? Okay, the worst that happens is I'm going to end up having to like stay at my parents' house, and I'd have to take some like, my aunt owns a 7-Eleven, so I always say I'd end up working at 7-Eleven for like slightly above minimum wage just to restart my life. And I'm like, would I be okay with that? Could I live with myself? I'm like, is that the worst thing? I'm like, because I think of like, okay, if that's my rock bottom, some people's rock bottom is like, they wouldn't have a place to stay, like food, water, shelter, and stuff like that. And I'm like, my rock bottom still covers food, water, and shelter. I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, it's like
I
having that
don't,
little.
I want to say that's right though. I wouldn't say it's the right thing,
But it's still first of all, you have that safety net, which allows you to take more risk with betting on yourself. So
absolutely,
that's one thing.
absolutely, that's big.
But also, we talked about this with Colin about like you burn your boat, so you don't give yourself another option. Like the only option is to succeed, and somehow psychologically by doing that, it just ups your chances of making it happen. And it sounds like you really did. Now, I'm curious, just picking up on it, would you say you're an optimist?
Absolutely. I think God's always looking out for me. So that's just how I live, no matter what. One thing I didn't mention is, so scroll back a little bit in time, and if we go back a year, actually, I was at a firm and I was studying for my CFP, and I passed, and I came into work the next morning and I was fired. So that's that's another piece of the puzzle here. So that's where I think all of these things that have kind of shaped me in my life, again, have either in some ways pushed me to a certain direction, but in another way has made me see what my strength really is, or where my strength really is.
Wow. So let me get this right. You pass your CFP, you go into the office the next day
And I was
and
let go. Yeah.
let go. How did you bounce back from that? That must have been a big blow.
It was, I felt like I had gotten hit by a car, if I'm going to be completely honest. I felt like it was definitely tough. And, you know, I like to think of it as it was just a growth moment for me, a growth opportunity.
Growth mode, pivot.
Yeah. And like I said, it was the whole like, well, what's if I thought that was the worst that could happen and I'm still alive, then I think I'll be okay. Sorry
Now you're
guys,
on the
my
other
dog
side
is
of it.
in the background.
You-
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why when I was having that conversation today with that woman who had called me, she was starting to have doubts about, is this really what I want to do? Is this the career I want? And I think about how many times I've possibly had that go through my head. And again, maybe one of you had, or maybe someone that we know that's successful in this industry has even had that thought. So if we're really going to be this profession, like I said, that's going to be the lawyer, accountant, doctor, and be looked at in that way, we really need to come together as a community and say, look, I feel that way too sometimes, but you have to really think about, why am I doing this? I can't think of anything else that I would do with my life, to be honest. I always say, I'm like, if I won the lottery, I would still do this job, just not as many hours a week. I'd be way more picky. But, I feel like all of those things, like life is going to happen to a lot of people, but I don't want that to stop them from pursuing this career.
No, that's so good. What about what gets you up in the morning?
Right now, it's really just the growth phase that the firm is in, and being able to create and meeting with clients and being able to present something that I don't think that enough advisors are doing in this area. A big reason why I even came down to Fort Lauderdale is I started Googling and I was like, well, is there a lot of advisors in that area? There's a lot of BD advisors around here, not a lot of RA advisors. A lot of wealth is moving down here. So I just saw that growth opportunity. And really, when you look at just kind of the growth that's happening just in America, they're happening in just a few pockets. So I felt like, I've had some setbacks in my career. So this was a way for me to really go all in and participate in that growth.
Could you elaborate that? I think that was you researched the market for a job before you took it. I
Yeah,
think
well,
that's
so
powerful.
yeah, no,
Really
no,
go into
yeah,
that. Go into that,
yeah. Well, so I
please.
mean, you have to still think of yourself. I think no matter what role you have, if you're a W-2 employee, you're only working off commissions, or whatever stage you're in this career, I think you really have to look at yourself as a business owner. And so if you look at yourself that way, regardless if you're working for yourself or not, to me, I was like, well, how do I know if that's a good opportunity if I don't really assess? I mean, how would you treat a business, right? You start looking at who's the competition in the area. What do the demographics look like? And that's how you assess if that's a good opportunity, because again, if I'm going to go all in and invest in myself and always bet on myself, that doesn't mean I'm just doing it willy-nilly with no research. You you would treat it the same way you would an investment. You do the research.
That is entrepreneurship, but also entrepreneurship that I think you're speaking to. And
Absolutely.
absolutely,
Yeah.
as an advisor, you need to have that entrepreneur mindset. I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter. Like you said, W-2, 1099 does not matter. You need that mindset that you want to grow, you want to build more relationships, help more people out. And then, as you say, things come back to you if you do good things for others.
Definitely. This is such a good combo. I appreciate it, guys.
No, we appreciate it. So I know we're gonna want to be conscious of time, but I do, Kim. One of my favorite things about you that I want you to share is your interest in life of boats. I think that's just an interesting fact that the people should know. Your advisor, we know it, but what people relate to are interests and hobbies outside of the office. Could
Yeah,
you please tell everyone about it?
sure. So it was pandemic time, and my boyfriend and I were watching a lot of YouTube. You just start watching. We ran through all of Hulu and Netflix, so now we're on YouTube. And we started seeing all these people who are just like selling everything, buying a boat, and just sailing. And we were like, why can't we do that? What's stopping us from doing that? And unfortunately, at the time, the boat market was rough. It took us about a year and a half of research to finally find the boat that we wanted. And come to find out, again, backtracking a little bit, no sailing experience, by the way. I've sailed a few times, but I wouldn't consider myself a professional. Like, don't go out alone with me. So so we we ended up getting the sailboat, and like I said, things just kind of happened in not so great timing, where or maybe it was perfect timing, because we got the boat, I passed the CFP, I lost my job, and then we had the boat on the Chesapeake Bay. So what better place to have a sailboat than in the sailing capital of the world? So we taught ourselves how to sail over the course of like 6 months or so, and then brought the boat down to Florida. So we're not experts by any means, but it's been such an amazing experience. The sailing community is so great. I can't think of better people that I've met aside from Deshaun in a community, and they're just they're always willing to help each other. They're always wanting to like swap stories and just learn from each other. I can really appreciate it, because it's almost like there's no, or at least in the sailing community, I can't speak for the boating community in general, but it's almost like there are no kind of like tiers to society at that point. Everyone just loves the water and has that in common. So you have that as a common ground. So I've just met so many people from so many different walks of life. And to me, it's just fun to be out there. So for any sailors out there who are listening, hit me up. I'd love to connect. I'm sure we'll pass each other by one day, or maybe we can sail together.
Does that make you Captain Kim since you're a sailor?
Oh no, not by any means. And by the way, I do have two dogs, and right now in Fort Lauderdale. So we moved here, and we I had an apartment here for a bit, and then we were ending up spending a lot of time on the boat. So now we're on the boat right now with the two dogs. So it's been a good time. So we're just getting ready for Bahamas. We just want to get Bahamas ready.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Well, one last question. Did you have fun today?
Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I got a little emotional at times, because I feel like we're all just so passionate about this, and that's what I really appreciate about what we're doing. And I hope for whoever is listening that they reach out to any one of us, or that they, feel like there's a way to just form a sense of community, or that they're not alone in whatever they're going through career wise. This is absolutely a lifestyle profession. So life is going to happen throughout this career. So we're all here for each other.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being on here. You brought a lot of great little nuggets of wisdom. I even wrote down a few. I'm sure Deshaun did as well.
Bet on yourself.
Yes. Bet on yourself.
Bet on yourself every time. Why not? I don't get it. I mean, to me, I'm just like, other people are betting on you, so why can't you bet on yourself too?
Every day of the week, twice on Sunday.
You have it in you. You absolutely have it in you. Everything that you need is already there.
Is motivational speaking in your future as well?
No, I just, like I said, I'm just really passionate about it all. I'm really passionate about it. We're all just people just trying to do the right thing, just trying to live life.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a good saying. It's like, it's everybody's first time living life, so give each other space.
Everybody's first
I love
time.
that. I love that. It's my first time. Is it yours?
Yeah. At least to my own knowledge. Awesome. Well, this has been The Blueprint, an FPA Next Gen podcast. I'm Mike Zarelli with my co-host, Deshaun Peterson. We had Kim Mammarell here today, and we thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.